Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about new sets, set availabilities from all the brands, LEGO of course, but also other brands like CaDA, Mega Constructs or BlueBrixx. We also talk about updates from the LEGO Ideas Programm and from time to time even about general industry news as well. So this is episode 1, so I guess it makes a little bit of sense to talk in general what my plans are for this new show that will actually run both on YouTube. Obviously in this case you can look with me on the monitor, we look at all the sets. We'll come to that in a second, but also there will be an audio-only version on all the podcast platforms that you know. Obviously, today is episode 1, so the podcast feeds do not exist yet. As soon as I have them, so I assume with episode 2 or 3, the latest, you will find Merlins Brick News as well on all the big podcast platforms. This is actually a spin-off of a podcast that I've been running over here in Germany, in German for quite some time. I think I'm in the low 70s episode-wise, and I run this as a weekly show, as said. So the general plan is that going forward, I will produce it both a German version as well as an English version for the international audience. And as mentioned, we talk about a lot of different brands, and all of what we are going to talk about and what I am going to show in the news show is actually a website that I run, merlinsbricks.com, and in this site you have a database. I call it the SetDB, the set database. I have more than 6,000 sets at this point in time from 24 different brands in there. They are sorted into 45 categories, and everything that I'm going to show you in a second is actually this site. However, if you can't see this on YouTube, or even after the video you want to take a look at it yourself, look in the podcast show notes. For those of you listening or for those of you watching, go in the description down below, and there you will find links directly to all the sites, at least all the sets we are talking about during the show. But of course you can also go directly to setdb.org, and actually then you will land on the page that I'm currently showing, where you can look at, okay, what are all the new sets, and browse through brands, categories, or what have you. And as you can see, there's a lot of different brands in here, European brands, Mega of course from the US, but also of course Chinese brands. So let's start talking about set updates. Actually not that much this week, but I guess this is a good starting point for the new show. So let's get started. We go through all the brands in alphabetical order, and the first thing is BlueBrixx. That's actually a German brand that is quite popular over here, for those of you who don't know it, internationally. So they have an English website. So if you go on my side, you can actually also see here a link down below. Go to BlueBrixx, actually an affiliated link, and then they have an English website. I think they are shipping inside the European Union. Not so sure how it is abroad, but nevertheless, I think it's quite interesting to talk about them. Obviously, the set we are currently talking about, the frame Vacation Beach, a photo frame that they are doing. It's a 104787. It has 287 pieces, and it's 16 euros. As soon as I have, so in this case, obviously, because it is a European brand, I don't have US pricing, but for many other brands, obviously, I can give you those as well. So it's designed by Marco. If you're interested in all of the designs, he's actually quite a famous designer, or quite a big designer over at BlueBrixx. A lot of sets has he produced in the past. And also here on my site, you can both go in the category, this case for artwork. I mean, technically, this is not an artwork, it's a frame. You're supposed to put your piece of art or photo inside, but then you will find here links going to the brand, going to the categories, and going to the designer. Anyhow, let's talk about the frame. Pretty small frame actually. Size in centimeters is it's 23 centimeters by 6 or by 19. And it's 6 centimeters deep, I guess. That's the numbers I have here. So it's for small pictures, completely brick built. But I actually love it. It's quite lovely. You can have it in both directions. And yeah, it's a nice buy. Actually, I think BlueBrixx is running an entire series of those. They have several. So this is the latest one that is available. And that's actually what I'm talking about is, I should have mentioned this up front. It's not a completely new set. It's an availability signal from BlueBrixx. Another thing that is available for all the trained fans out of there It's the Open Freight Wagon Big. Actually, Big, that's what they write in the English version. In German, they say it more correctly. It's the 8-stud version. So BlueBrixx, actually, it's quite a big brand if you're interested in trains. And they both ship or have sets that are 6 or 8 studs wide. So obviously 8 studs, it's much, much bigger. And you can see this here as well. This is a single wagon, but it has 881 pieces. It's the 105074. It's 43 euros over here. By the way, that's always includes tax because that's how we do it over here. And it's 34 centimeters by slightly below 8, and it's 9 centimeters height. So quite a wagon, actually. There's a lot of stuff you can put in here. They also have this, let's say, if you're interested in running it more like a coal transport, you can do this as well. So they have this thing here on top that you can put on it optionally, or you can run it more like a regular wagon that you can open in a more regular way. All right, then another thing that is actually quite, for those of you who know BlueBrixx and are following them for quite a while, a question that I get a lot from a lot of folks from the community is, okay, because this is what people know from brands like LEGO or CaDA is that, you know, they have a set and then after a year, in case of CaDA quite often, or in LEGO's case, maybe after 2 or 3 years, they go end of life and then you can never buy them again. And in the case of LEGO especially, they usually become in the second market like ridiculous pricing. With BlueBrixx, it's quite differently. So if you look at this one, I took this as an example. It is freshly available actually for the very first time since I run this site and this show. I mean, that includes the German version. This is actually the first time available, so it hasn't been available for more than a year. And if you look at the numbers, it's 101,303. So we are currently at 105. So this is quite an old set. But as you can see, BlueBrixx is bringing it back. And as a result of this, if you go at set database on brands, you will see, because in here in this list, I do not have end of life sets. And what you can see is that BlueBrixx actually has almost as many sets as LEGO does. So LEGO's at 900 sets right now, and BlueBrixx has almost 800. And the main reason for that is BlueBrixx obviously is a much smaller brand, but their sets almost never go EOL. And so this is one of the big reasons. And I want to show you this set as an example. In general, this thing has 466 pieces, 25 bucks. That's 5.5 cents per piece, which is actually for BlueBrixx quite a lot. They are getting their parts, their pieces out of China. So usually very often with these so-called BlueBrixx specials, which is the line the set is in, usually you are around 3 to 4 cents a piece, which of course for those of you who know LEGO is a lot less. But this as a small background information. Nevertheless, I want to show you this one. This is actually a German fire truck. This is how they look over here. I think it's from MAN. And this is just a small example that I picked to prove this point here. I think it's a 6-stud vehicle as far as I can tell. No, must be more, right? No, this is 2 studs, right? So yeah, it should be a 6-stud vehicle. It's quite a small fire truck with 466 pieces. So that's actually all the updates I have from BlueBrixx. Usually that's actually a pretty dry week. Usually we have a lot more, but with that, let's come to CaDA. And there we have a new amazing set, Phantasma sports car. It's 4,346 pieces. It's announced by CaDA. CaDA wants 250 bucks US for that. By the way, if you're interested in this, you will also find it in the podcast show notes as well as in the description down below. There's a 5% discount code called Merlin, and with that you can order the set. Obviously the pricing depends a little bit from which country you're ordering, but nevertheless 215 is what I currently run here as list price. It's in scale 1:8 and it's by the pretty famous designer, I think, Dougal Cameron. It's a free designer that is quite well known for many car designs, and I think this is the first collaboration that he has with CaDA. I have also here his Flickr and Instagram accounts, so if you're interested in that, you will find it on the site as well. So let's come to the vehicle. It's Technic, of course. And I would say it's quite beautiful. It's a white car. There is a little bit of lime in there, a little bit of black. And I must generally say, I actually do not know what kind of car this is. It looks like a racing, like a Le Mans car or something like that. But nevertheless, I'm actually not a big car guy, but I do really like the aesthetics of this vehicle. You have a V8 engine in the back. And yeah, it's actually quite a beauty. And for those of you coming from the LEGO world, you will see that CaDA has quite beautiful packaging as well. And yeah, it's 4,000. Why do I keep saying 400? It's 4,346 pieces for a beautiful set. So let's see. I actually do plan to do a review on this one. Actually, this is going to be on my German channel, unfortunately. But nevertheless, I definitely will put this one on my list to take a look at it. So that's all the news from CaDA. And that was that. We are coming to LEGO. And there, of course, we have the new idea set, the motorized lighthouse, the 21335, 2,065 pieces. Release date is 1st of September. 2 minifigures. And it's $300. Yeah. What shall I say? So before we go into the design, maybe let's talk about the price first, because I think there's the biggest controversy around this one. To be honest, from my point of view, even if I count in all the electronics, the motor, the new lens for the light up here, the lighting in general, for me, this is a set that is definitely overpriced, even considering all the price raises that LEGO recently did. So, I mean, if you compare this, for instance, with the 21325, the Medieval Blacksmith, which is, I think, pretty good set to compare to because it has similar size. So let's ignore the electronics for a second. This one, even after the recent raises in pricing, is still an 8-cent a piece set, which I think for an idea set without a license, a set in this size with these kind of bricks, that is a relative. I mean, it used to be like these kind of sets should be like around 6 to 7 cents. Nowadays it's 8, okay, but this lighthouse is 14.5, which is crazy. So from my point of view, I mean, if you compare it to the Blacksmith, you might say, okay, this is like $170 set. Then you may add like 40. I mean, if you're really gracious, $50 for the electronics. So that brings you in the low 200s, 220, 230. And this is, I think, what this set should have been. So my personal point of view, $300 is kind of crazy. But nevertheless, there are already quite a lot of reviews out there. I think all the recognized fan media already, got their copy as always. So multiple reviews are actually also linked here from the SetDB page as well. By the way, what you can also find here is the link to the original ideas design, actually, and so you can compare like what the differences are. And in my personal opinion, and this is for sure not always the case, I actually prefer this design that the LEGO design team has done. It's quite beautiful actually, especially the house I like a lot more. It's much more detailed, it looks more beautiful, and it's minifigure scale. I mean, obviously it's still, I don't know, it's like a tiny home, but nevertheless, it is prepared for minifigures, and this is quite beautiful. What I definitely don't like from the design is the entire rock part. It has one of these very large rock panel elements that I personally don't like. What I actually do think is great is that we now have a dark blue base plate, which is amazing. And the tower itself is quite beautiful as well. I really like the aesthetics. And the tower from the design point of view is actually pretty close to the original ideas design. 2 minifigures are included, and yeah, all in all, I really like what they did here. They also did great in hiding all the electronics, the cables, etc. I think also what I saw on the first reviews is close to impossible to see the cables from the outside, which I think is great. I do really like all the details that they put in the house. I think it does remind me a lot from the treehouse from the Ideas program, which was also like tiny detailed minifigure stuff. As always, I would prefer if LEGO would use tiles on the ground flooring, but okay, it's what it is. They have a nice boat in there. Obviously, it's also set with a lot of stickers, I fear, but nevertheless, all in all, quite a beautiful set, simply too expensive. Coming to the last of the advent calendars that LEGO has announced. So I already talked, I just want to say in previous shows, actually in the German version. My apologies, but obviously you do. Hopefully it's okay for you that I can't go back in history and reproduce all the 70 episodes from German to English. But nevertheless, I talked in the past around the others. So the Marvel is the last one missing. Actually, this year it's around Guardians of the Galaxy. Last year it has been around the Avengers. 268 pieces. We are talking about the 76231 Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy Advent Calendar, and I do hope that I pronounce Advent correctly. I think this is a word I have never used before in English. Anyhow, it's $45. So that is quite a price. So if we go back to last year's version, it was $40 roughly. So it's a $5 price race, and I think this is what we have seen throughout the calendars. It also has less minifigures than the version before. By the way, I will show this now, including pictures for those of you watching on YouTube, but I will not let's say call out the minifigures. So basically, for those of you noobs, stay with me where my mouse pointer is. Nevertheless, I do like the minifigures. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minifigures in here, especially the one where my mouse pointer is right now. I think it's quite beautiful. It's an amazing minifigure. Love to have it. This one here in the center as well. Obviously, there are also 2 minifigures, let's say in Christmas theme, like with a Christmas shirt or something wearing, similar to other calendars. But all in all, next to that, I mean, we have a few nice prints down here. I do hope that these are prints. If not, I'm going to get angry with LEGO. But all in all, it is just 6 minifigures. And if you compare this with last year, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we had 1 additional minifigure last year. We had more pieces, I think 30 more pieces, and we had to pay $5 less. So long story short, I do believe, that this is not as good as it was last year. But anyhow, for the fans of you of both Marvel, LEGO Marvel, or of course all these calendars, I think I wish you all the fun. All right, coming with that to a Chinese brand, Sembo. We are talking about the 701028. I have a first announcement from a German shop, BlueBrixx. I do not have additional shops. Actually, I have my SetDB, also a lot of other shops linked that ship internationally. Right now, I have only information from BlueBrixx. So this set is 1,937 pieces. It's obviously a Technic car. And to my knowledge, again, I'm not a car guy, I would say this is an AMG, a GT. And quite a interesting color, like in purple, and there's a little bit of, I don't know what this green is. I'm not sure if how color accurate this picture is. Maybe it's a lime or very, very bright green. But anyhow, you can it has a lot of Technic functionality as far as I can tell. This is currently an announcement for a static model. I'm not 1% sure if we're going to see an RC version. So this is 480 millimeters, or let's call it 48 centimeters long. So that's quite a lot. By the way, I will definitely try to put some research into converting all my centimeters into inches as well. I'm sorry, I can't do this in my head, so I need to teach this to my site. Currently, it's all in metric system. I do apologize for that. Anyhow, it's 21 centimeters width and 13 centimeters high. So that's quite a BMOS. I think it's comparable to what we have seen before from CaDA. Obviously, it has only less than half the pieces, but it is quite a car. All right, that was already all the set news for this week. Not that much, but with that, we are coming into the LEGO Ideas Program. So in general, usually I talk here just about new entries into the LEGO Ideas Program and the regular program. However, this week we have a couple of updates around the Target and LEGO collaboration. So there was kind of, they had a voting running between 3 sets or 3 designs: the Viking Village, Marine Life, and Mini Golf. And actually, I liked all 3 designs. I mean, I do like Vikings, especially now that LEGO has created the longboat. The Marine set is pretty beautiful as well, and I think would look good in almost any shelf. And the mini golf was quite an amazing entry from my point of view, because it had a ton of interesting functionality, and this is definitely something I would like to have on my desk and play with it from time to time. Anyhow, LEGO, there was a decision made, and the Viking Village is going to make it. Coming to this Target collaboration, my understanding is, for those of you in the US, because Target is a US only retailer, I don't know how it is in Canada, but I think. Yeah, again, I'm European. My apologies. But my understanding, it's a US retailer. I mean, actually, I've seen it in the US quite often, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen it in Canada. Anyhow, my understanding is in the US, this thing is going to be exclusive for Target. But for those of you outside of the US, at least that's the situation we have over here in Europe. It's going to be a regular Lego set. So for all the others in countries internationally, I have actually no idea. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Viking Village. I really like the longboat that they have done, and I think they have a good idea already on the minifigures, and I think they did great. So from my point of view, this is looking great. I think this could be a beautiful set. I mean, after now the lighthouse, I'm not so sure about the pricing any longer, but nevertheless, let's cross fingers for good pricing, and then I think the set is going to be a no-brainer. All right, but for whatever reason, Lego and Target decided, hey, we just had this awesome vote, now let's do something new. This one is different. So this time they just did not pick like 3 entries and then, had a vote on this. But this time you can start from scratch, and that means you can submit ideas. And the idea is to find something around if it's family as a theme. So what does family mean to you is the question. And here you can already see a couple of entries, 9 at this point in time, which is not much. At least the idea site is not showing us more than these 9. And there are still 33 days left. So if you're a designer and you're interested, I mean, this might be another good chance next to the regular Ideas program to get your design positioned. And with that, we are coming to actually 3 new entries. One is Night at the Museum, which is a children's book, I think from the early 90s, to my knowledge. But of course, a lot more people know it due to the movie that was done. I think the original movie is from 2006, obviously starring Ben Stiller. I have actually never seen it. I think I saw the trailer a few times here and there, but never seen the movie. And I think it was so successful that created even 2 sequels, I think. I think there are 2 Night at the Museum movies. Anyhow, this one, I think, is based on the first one. And yeah, it's quite a nice house, actually. It's by the designer Carlierti. I think that is a dude from Switzerland, to my knowledge. Anyhow, quite a beautiful building. You can open it. So from my point of view, it's quite comparable, obviously smaller than the Home Alone idea set, the 21330 that Lego did last year. So from my point of view, this I think is roughly comparable. You can open it up like similar to the Home Alone set. So obviously that means you will have, I mean, I don't know if Lego's gonna do this, if they would do it exactly like this one, obviously you would have problems to fit it into your city because then you can't open it anymore. That's usually why modulars, open at the top. But of course they could also do a combination, maybe get a basement or something down below that you can just open certain parts or come up with similar mechanics that they did for the Home Alone set. But nevertheless, I think it's quite beautiful. It brings across the whole story. You have the minifigures in there, you have the story. So there are actually even some nano figures in here, which are actually even painted. I don't know, has Lego ever? Yeah, they have done this, right? For Harry Potter, for Hogwarts and stuff like that. But anyhow, yeah, quite beautiful. You have the globe in here, you have the dino in here, right? And of course, as I said, all the minifigures. And it also looks quite nice from the outside. The big question, at least for me, would be at least if Lego would do this design, would they do all of this with stickers, which I would personally, I do think this would be a shame. But nevertheless, if they bring this in, maybe even as prints like they did for the Icons police station, then I think, yeah, this could be quite amazing. It looks beautiful, for sure. Then we have another ideas, and that is from BlueBrixx. It's the Ancient Greek Temple. That's actually a resubmission. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this in the past. I do believe it is a beautiful design. It would look great. However, I personally do not think that it has much chances in the Ideas program. I think Lego with Ideas, I mean, they have the lighthouse now, okay, so why not? But in general, I do see that Lego is looking for interesting licensees, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. And this one is quite large, actually. But yeah, it does look very nice. I think it brings the topic across quite a lot, and I do personally love ancient Greek design and storytelling and everything. So yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, but personally, I do not think that it has a lot of chances. However, it may have more than this one here, where actually I don't have much background. So it's called Bluey. It's from Monkey Scout. Great name, by the way. And I think it's based on a children TV series from Australia. Is that correct? I'm not 1% sure. Actually, I've never heard about this before. I don't know if this has been on screen over here in Europe, but at least I have never heard about it, and at least my kids have never seen it. Nevertheless, it is quite a... I mean, it's a nice design. I do assume if you know the show, then this would be a design for you. Please let me know in the comment section, like also outside Australia, if this is something you've seen or your kids have seen. I have, as I said, almost zero context. The design itself is like almost a retro design, however, tons of tiles in there, so that's for sure not very retro, but it's quite a simplistic design to a certain degree. But yeah. It would be a nice set for kids to play with, for sure. It's a lot bigger than many, generally if you look at the mechanics, it does remind me of many of the Creator 3-in-1 sets, the buildings that LEGO is doing. But of course, it's a lot bigger. As a result, it would be a lot more expensive. So from my point of view, this is too big for children and looks too much like a children's set for grown-ups. So that's why I don't think that LEGO is going to do this. All right, this is the show for this week. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like, a comment, or even a channel subscribe down below. For you podcast listeners, please leave a review, comment, or like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. At the end of the day, there's only one last thing to say. Thanks for listening. See you next week.